right, this is Unit 10 of Medical Terminology. We're going to take a look at the cardiovascular system. So our objectives for this particular unit, we're going to take a look at three separate sections. The blood cells and those different components, different blood vessels, and parts of the heart. We're then going to take it more into the med term realm, where we're going to look at new word parts, medical terminology, so breaking down words. We're going to look at diseases, and we're going to look at some abbreviations that are associated with the cardiovascular system. All right, let's first talk about blood cells. So there are three main categories when it comes to blood cells. And I'm not going to get much more detailed in this particular lecture. Again, this is really meant to be a medical terminology course. We will do some mini videos for you soon on some details on the blood cells, but let's look at the three big categories of blood cells. First up, we have our red blood cell. Our red blood cell is abbreviated as RBC, so we're seeing our first abbreviation here. It is called a red blood cell because it is in fact red. It is a little bit circular, and if you kind of look at that center section, it's a little bit thin in the middle, so it looks almost like a donut-like, except there's no full hole in that center. Red blood cells' job is to carry some oxygen, so they help us to create some energy inside the body. The med term, or the root term specifically that means red, is erythro, so that one is on your new Unit 10 word list. All right, next up we have this one. It is much blown up and it's more of a cartoon sort of picture, but this is a platelet. A platelet has an alternate term called a thrombocyte. So the term platelet or thrombocyte essentially is referring to the same type of blood cell. The new root term here is thrombo, and if you look at that term, thrombo refers to clotting. And so that platelet or that thrombocyte, remember again, it's the same term, refers to a cell that helps us clot. It is abbreviated with the platelet designation, so capital PLT is the abbreviation for a platelet. Okay, so next up is our white blood cells. There are a lot of different subtypes of white blood cells. You can see I've pictured 5 here. The abbreviation for a white blood cell is WBC. The root term that's new here is leuco, and if you look at your Unit 10 word list, leuco refers to white. So it tells us that that is the white blood cell. So we're going to look at some subtypes of white blood cells. Again, there's a lot more nuance to this and some other components, but we're going to look at our 5 main subtypes. And first up, we have our neutrophil. Okay, and again, it is a subtype of white blood cell. Up is our basophil, our basophil. This one is referred to as an eosinophil, an eosinophil. Then we have a lymphocyte, lymphocyte. And then last but not least, our 5th type of white blood cell that we're seeing here is a monocyte. Okay, so again, just to recap our 3 major categories of blood cells. We've got red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, also called thrombocytes.